Good morning, Chairperson, or good morning. Can somebody please indicate what is going on? Is this meeting proceeding? Can we please have an indication and confirm if you can hear me, Chairperson? Thank you, Jill.
Good day, Jill. Do we have a update in terms of the starting time of this meeting? Because it's already 9:18 at the moment. Thank you very much.
Chairperson? Yes, please, Chairperson. Good morning. Apologies for the interruption. I just wanted to bring to the attention that there is no sound on the YouTube link. If we can please address that. Thank you, Chair.
For ethical leadership as adopted by Council.
We adopted, Chair.
Thank you. As we can see in front of me, there are people who are in front of
We
me.
can't
I think
carry
it's
on.
Mr. McVitie coming for a presentation. Can we allow him to do the presentation, then we carry on with our agenda? Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, councillors and technical directors. Just an introduction. My name is Alan McVitie. I'm the concessionaire for the George Knysna Rail Line. We signed that last November with TRIM, which is Transnet Rail Infrastructure Manager. My colleague Martin Hatzell, he's been part of the Oudtshoorn team since 2006, and we've kept the website alive, and he's part of the project team now. I found okay. Just by coincidence, I found a document that I wrote in November 2007, no, in 2006. So the floods happened in August 2006, on the 6th of August 2006, the floods took out the railway line. And I wrote my first business case of how to fix it in November 2007. And this document was signed in November 2026 by the CEO, Michelle Phillips of Transnet Freight Rail. She did a ceremonial ceremony at the museum in George. So we finally got it out. And I think I've just got 5 slides, and it'll give an overview of what the challenges are for our project and how NYSA can help us. The journey is between NYSA and George. That's traditionally the Outeniquetutu track. It was NYSA to George. And it was selected in 1993, or it started in 1993, when the NYSA waterfront was constructed, and they repositioned the railway station and the turntable and the waste by rail terminal and all that. So that's when the Outeniquetutu brand was initiated in 1993, and in 2006, that's 13 years later, it shut down because of the floods. Now, in those 13 years, it became the 10th most recognized tourism icon in South Africa. So if you compare it to Table Mountain, Kruger Park, Robben Island, or Cape Point, as established tourism icons, the Tutu was number 10. And that was an incredible achievement in 13 short years. And the reason why it became so well known was that it was in a unique scenic environment, being the Garden Route. It had unique bridge crossings like the Caimans and the Lagoon Bridge. So as a rail journey, it was special. And it was a daily train that left on time. And that gave tour operators the confidence to include it in their tour bus schedules. So a bus would come from Cape Town to Oudtshoorn. They'd sleep over in Oudtshoorn, they'd do the Kanga Caves and the ostrich farms. It would then travel over the mountain to George. The passengers would get on the train and ride to Knysna, and then the bus would go empty to Knysna and pick up their passengers and travel on. So it fitted into the tour operators' schedules. And that's the critical thing as what we've got to recreate, is that reliability of this daily scheduled train, to recreate the icon that that was the Choo-Choo was in for 13 years. So, just briefly on the screen, I've created this being this iconic activity. That's what brought the tourists to the Southern Cape. Not the only reason, but it became one of the key activities that the tourists had to do. And that's what's driven me to keep going for 20 years, is that it fascinated me as a business achievement that they achieved that iconic status in such a short time. I'm not a steam train fanatic that loves a steam engine and all that. I haven't been in one. I'm motivated by the contribution that it has to tourism in the Southern Cape. So it became the 10th most recognized tourism icon in South Africa. It also became the 10th most popular steam train in the world. And at the time, in the journey trying to fix it, the Minister of Transport for the provincial government, Donald Grant, wanted to contribute 75 million rand to the fixing of the line. And it was subject to an economic study. And the economic study was done by SHEC, which is CHEC, which is a combination of academics from Stellenbosch University and UCT. And they did an economic study. And they concluded in that economic study that if the Choo-Choo motivated people, or tourists, to stay one night longer to go on the train, they would have an equal economic spin-off of 75 million in 0.85 years. So that demonstrates the power of the brand. And that's what the driving force is here, is we must recreate that brand and the level of service and market it internationally to be a must-do when you visit South Africa. And that'll be the contribution to the economy. Just briefly, just some other projects that we've done, so you know our capabilities. I used to live in Knysna, and forgive me, I only know Jackie and Rod Douglas, everybody else with new faces. But we built the Phantom Forest Eco Reserve, which is a development on the Knysna River. That burnt down in the 2017 fire. And then I also built Pledge Square, where the new Checkers is now. They've demolished half that building and built Checkers. So I've got a history of living in Knysna for 20 years and building things in Knysna. I've built lots of houses here and roads and things like that. So we come with a building knowledge. I've got local artisans that have worked for me at the time. They're all working for me now in this new project. So I've come back home. Okay. How do we go to the next slide?
Is this the next one? Okay.
Second line, yeah. Okay. Okay, the Outeniqua concession, we formed a company called the Outeniqua Choo-Choo Pty Limited. I'm the sole shareholder and director of that company, and we signed the concession document, which is this document. We have another company called Classic Rail Pty Limited, and that will be the contracting company. So we've brought in all the subcontractors as we move along the project, and we pull in the skills to build the project. We will employ them by Classic Rail, and then when the train becomes operational, the operational technical side of that team will then basically operate the Outeniqua Choo-Choo. So it's a step-by-step process to get the operating team in place, and it'll take us about, we think we can get a train operating between Sedgefield and Knysna by the end of this year, and then we've broken the project into two phases, Sedgefield to Knysna and Sedgefield to George. If I go back a step there, that the train used to operate, it had two trains, it had one set in Knysna and one set in George, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, they would leave and then cross at Sedgefield, and in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, they'd cross back again. The tour operators found that total journey time from Knysna to George, which is about 2.5 hours, was too long. So a lot of the tour bus operators used to put their guests on the train at George and then take them off at Sedgefield, or put them on the train at Sedgefield and then take them off in Knysna. So we've accommodated that feedback from the market, and we've created two distinct train timetables, and they'll operate out of Sedgefield, and it'll go Sedgefield to Knysna and back, and that'll be the Waterfront Express, and the other train will be the Museum Limited that goes from Sedgefield to the museum and back. So you can do half the journey, because that's what most of the people were doing anyway. So we've catered for that in our redesign of the timetable. Okay, the period of the concession is 25 years. The corridor, George and Knysna, and its activities are for tourism and freight, and that's what's in the concession document, is they've got a freight section, and that's something that I'll just put further ideas on the table to this meeting as to how we need to navigate the way forward of the freight options. Okay. Sorry, just let me bet I'm battling to read this. Okay, that's covered all those points. All right. Now, just issues that are particularly to Knysna, and I want to put them on the table, take the opportunity of this meeting so that we can work towards finding the best solution going forward. If you, this piece of land is the Knysna Waste by Rail Terminal. The yellow block is the actual terminal itself. The hatched line is where the taxi rank, current taxi rank is, and the boundary between railway land and other land, which belongs to Transnet, is this line here. And then you get Tate Marine, and then I call it the PX parcel land because they used to offer a service called PX parcels, and that's led to various restaurants. Now, in our concession, there's a term called railway land, and it's defined as land that accommodates the railway line. That's the land that's part of the concession. At the moment, we are discussing with Transnet, let's say the property section, property along the George and Knysna line. They were in discussion yesterday and tomorrow, and then we'll find an answer hopefully later in the week as to how we're going to go forward and how we deal with the other properties along the George and Knysna line. just some background there is that when the Outeniqua operated originally, all those properties along the George Nice line, meaning Wilderness Station, Serpentine, Dennerbos, Sedgefield Station, all the little sidings, everything belonged to Transnet Heritage Foundation. And that was that company, it was a separate Transnet company, reported directly to Transnet Group. And below the group you had Transnet Freight Rail, Transnet Pipelines, Transnet Ports. But Transnet Heritage was right at the top, and it had a direct link to the group. When the floods came, all the properties along the George Nice line were transferred from Transnet Heritage to Transnet Properties. And that's created our challenge, is that the property company of Transnet is a commercial company. It only looks at the rental income to make a decision. It doesn't look at the compatibility of that tenant with the bigger picture. And that's our challenge at the moment, is we're saying the Outeniqua Chuchu as a brand is a guest experience, is a tourism experience. So all the properties along the line are part of the guest experience. And those properties need to be part of the asset transfer. And I think we've won the argument, and we'll know in the next day or so. So getting back to this particular site, it leads us towards what are the options for the waste, because that's a challenge for Knysna at the moment. At the moment, the waste is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand, from what I see, I haven't been inside the building, but it seems that they don't compact the waste as they use. You've got a two-bag system on collection. The clean waste, the recyclable waste, has been relocated from what used to be next to the fire station. It's now managed at a centre in the industrial area, but the dirty waste is still loaded from the wheelie bin trucks that collect the waste to the long-haul transport trucks to the landfill site at Mossel Bay. And that's what used to happen by rail, is the dirty waste was compacted in this yellow building into a bin that was then transferred onto rail, and it went to Mossel Bay. Now, that option is obviously, once we've completed the line between, between Knysna and George, and the line is operational between George and Mossel Bay, that option is now, would become available. So we need to explore the what ifs. We need to have that discussion with yourselves as what is required to implement that service, and is it the way to go? We have got technology that we developed ourselves based on technology from New Zealand. Our brand name is Dad Martin, and this is called an arc loader. And in this picture you can see the yellow box is like a shipping container. I can swing that box from the train onto a truck, or vice versa. I can swing it from a truck onto a train. Now that yellow box, we call it a swap body and not a container, and we designed that swap body to suit the commodity. So, sorry. If you look at this picture on the bottom right-hand corner, we've got two rail lines which the land can accommodate. On the one side, we've got logs, because this used to be a logging yard. They used to receive the logs from the forests in logging trucks that would come, and there was a triangular crane. They used to pick the log up out of the logging cradle on the truck and chuck it on the ground, and then when the train came in, they'd pick the log up and put it back on the train. So that used to happen. That was the system in the beginning, and then the waste the waste by rail, there was a special line that went to the transfer station, and the bins that had compacted waste in were rotated, were slid onto the wagon, and on the wagon there was a turntable that rotated the wagon into the direction of the train. So there was lots of bits of technology to make that waste by rail work, and that's all been scrapped, so it's not there anymore. But going back to the logs is still an option, but we would use our arc loader, this instead of that shock body being a container, it would be a cradle that accommodates logs. So I can swing it from the truck onto the train. So I don't double handle the logs. I swing it onto the lane, and then at the other end, at the MTO sawmills in George, we swing the cradle off the train, and then we transport it by road to where they have a sizer. It's a machine where they can size the logs into different sizes before it goes into the cutting mills. So this, oh sorry. If I can just complete, just on this subject, if you look at the top left-hand drawing, it's a map of the waste by rail terminal. I need less land to operate my Dad Martin technology. I only need these two lines. So I've got a triangle piece of land that can be consolidated with the adjoining properties, and then we'd have one big piece of land for a significant development. So what I'm suggesting there is that, and we've put it on the table in our tender document, is that we need to manage the land use of the adjoining property in terms of their leases and their lease expiries and things like that, to build up one piece of land to create one development that is beneficial to Knysna. And that could be a conference center or a hotel or any other concept that we might think of. But it's important that we have better utilization of that land, because it's prime land in the center of town and on the waterfront. And I forget the gentleman's name, but he was in charge of waste in Knysna municipality. And this was probably in 2010, somewhere around then. He said I must go and look at Malmesbury or Onrus at their technology as to how they manage their waste. And they had a single bag collection system. So it wasn't a two-bag system. Everything was collected in one bag by a wheelie bin truck. And it would arrive at their terminal, which is over here, and they would tip that collected waste onto a concrete slab, and from the slab there were flat belts. There were two of them in Malmesbury, and the waste was swept onto the belt in a constant flow, and then they had pickers either side of the belt. They would pick out the different recyclable products and put them into different bags behind themselves. They developed a very quick technique, and if they missed one of the items, the next picker could pick it up. So what happened is they cleaned the waste, separated the waste with this belt system, and then at the end of the belt, that dirty waste went into an open-top bin, and the open-top bin went to the landfill site and tipped on the landfill site. So that was a one-bag collection system, and they did the separation at the waste terminal. Some time back, I identified land next to the waterworks in Knysna. There's sufficient land here for a terminal, but there could be other land elsewhere, and there's a lot of conversation that's got to be had whether you have one terminal or other terminals. So that's the sort of knowledge that we've learnt over this 20-year period, that we can have constructive discussions with the Knysna municipality to find solutions. The last slide is that technology has always also moved on, and they've got waste to energy now, which is another option to solving Knysna's waste problem, but then we don't have to worry about waste to rail, because we can treat the waste in Knysna into energy. So that's a technology that we're busy. We have a relationship with a technical company that owns this technology, and it's the technology, the status that they're at is that they've got proof of concept, but they're now moving it into to an independent review by an independent specialist to look at that proof of concept, but also to look at the financial plan and what are the numbers to implement waste to energy. So that's another technology that's come our way, which we can offer to the Knysna municipality as an option for waste. But that also needs a discussion as to where we might have different locations of sites. For instance, you don't have to transport waste now. You have a one-bag collection system to the waste to energy plant, and you could have a plant, and I call it at the lagoon level, so that your wheelie bin trucks are not grinding their way up steep hills. Their collection could be at that level. Then you could have another plant in Concordia, and you can collect at that level, a one-bag system, and then you could have one in Sedgefield. So you don't end up with any long-haul transport with the waste to energy, and you don't need waste by rail. So that's the other technology that we can bring to the table for discussion. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCarthy, for your presentation. Now I'll allow anyone who wants to ask a question. Councillor Low.
Just forgive me, but I was a lot younger when I started, so now I'm going to come to you so I can hear you.
No, don't worry. So can we bring a chair? Can we organize a chair, please? No, I want you to sit. I don't want tomorrow. Then people are going to say the EFF don't treat elders nicely. I don't want that. It's what happened in the ad hoc committee when one of these guys, you can sit, sir. You can sit, sir. No, you can sit, sir. You can sit. You know, when one of these guys appear before the ad hoc committee, and then they become the back are sore, then we said, no, we don't want to have a problem tomorrow. People are saying that we don't treat elders nicely. My question to you is, the one of the waste to energy, there's a process that we are busy dealing with it. The waste to energy, there's already a process that we are dealing with. The directors that are dealing with it just have to do what they have to do. They just have to do it. They know precisely, council have took a resolution about the waste to energy. If they want to cooperate it, then they must know the process, how to follow it, and include you with these people that are already there. They just have to do it. There's a council resolution. So then they can link you with these people to deal with this waste to energy. My question to you is that we are very glad at last that the choo-choo will be up and running. That is one positive. Because the choo-choo was one of these trains that attract a lot of people from Europe, from our own country, South Africa, and we are very glad for that part. You didn't explain to us around, the only thing that you talk playing about, the calculation of what will be the economical spin-offs be. That's what you explained to us. But you didn't explain to us what is the job opportunities around that. You should explain about a big contractor that will be appointed, and then there will be subcontractors. But my question is, especially when it comes to these big contractors, how do they include the Knysna small contractors into that phase? You have developed the Perth Square, I think it was in the year 2000 and 1998, that time. But our people in Knysna need opportunities. That is a big opportunity. But we want you to be inclusive, especially because we have to change also the economic of this country, where we as black people can also be part and parcel of the economic of this country. So when it comes to the small contractors, I believe that the Labour Department or the Knysna municipality have a database of small contractors that also have certain skills that can be involved in that. And what is the opportunities when it comes to the work opportunities? Forget about the small contractors, the work opportunities. How many work opportunities will be created in that process? That is my stake on it. My name is Councillor Low from the Economical Freedom Fighters, the party that Julius Malema belongs to. That is the president.
Thank you, Councillor Low. Councillor Beauty also, okay. Can you start, Councillor?
Sorry. What is happening, Chairperson? I think the gentleman want to answer because I see that
Want to answer?
if you are going to have everyone ask, then he's not going to get everything.
Okay. Mr. McCarthy? Okay.
So we very much aware of that. And within our own management team, we've got people that are colleagues and friends. So we're on that page.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McVitie. Yeah, I get it now, McVitie. Yeah. Councillor Winston? Come here.
Thank you,
Councillor Winston?
Chairperson. Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to thank Mr. McVitie. I'm glad you got his surname right, Chair, for the presentation and for the opportunity to engage with us as a committee. The questions that I have is around an estimation of timeline with regards to the George and Knysna track. And also, once that is completed, you mentioned the possibility and the George to Mossel Bay. I'm thinking along the lines for the waste by rail options for Knysna municipality. If you could give us a guideline or an estimated guideline around the timeframes before these both lines, George to Knysna, George Mossel Bay, would be established and operational, is my first question. My second question is with regards to the arc loader. The weight and the specifications of the container in the long run for using this to transport waste by rail again. If we can just have a little bit more clarity on that. I know you alluded to the possibility of the logs, but I just wanted to know if this current arc loader would be sustainable and able to also use the container system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, high level, we're in a learning curve at the moment in establishing the scale of the work. We've cleared the bush to see the quality of the track. And only then can we then work out how long it might take us to fix the line. But at a high level, we're sort of aiming for year end to have a train. In fact, it'll be 2027, not 2026. The early part of 2027, where we'll have the first train between Sedgefield and Knysna, the Waterfront Express. That's the first phase. We were hoping to finish it sooner, but there've been hold-ups in the rolling stock. We will be ahead of the game, I think, on the track, but we've had hold-ups in sorting out the rolling stock. So we're aiming for the early part of 27. We're busy in the Caimans and the Moulin River. That's where the most difficult engineering section of the line is. We're busy with that at the moment, doing our analysis of how to fix it and who's going to fix it. But it'll probably be a year after that. So it'll be 2020, latter part of 2028, 2027, or the early part of 2028, when the whole line will be operational. The crane itself, the arc loader crane, that can lift 35 tons, so it balances with the road payload. So whatever you can put on the road, you can transfer it from road to rail. The maximum payload on the road can be transferred by the arc loader to rail. And for instance, we're working on other projects in Zambia with the same equipment, where we're transporting fuel in and copper out, and we transport on the road. You have one swap body, but I can put two of those swap bodies on the rail because of the rail axle load. So it's a very appropriate crane technology. It was designed around the road to rail system, so that it will work here in the Knysna opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we just give it to Councillor Beauty, then after you can follow Mr. Potter?
Can Mr. McVitie, can you hear me, sir?
Very well.
Yes, it's engxakini kaSem. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I am very happy about the choo-choos.
Great.
I'm very happy about the choo-choo because I know that it's going to bring jobs into our town. The choo-choo train will be like Revive Knysna. I remember clearly how I used, when I was a younger little girl, we used to have oysters. SABC people will always like to travel and just to enjoy the garden route by going into the choo-choo. But yeah, but mine is not a question, is when you are going to build or revive the choo-choo, the big contractors, they are not going to come with their small contractors in Knysna. They must, because this is our town and we need to give the job opportunities to our people that are in town, in Knysna. The big contractors we've got, they are everything, but they must know that they are not going to bring the people here. That's all that I want. And hence I am saying to you that I know that the bring back of the choo-choo train, it reminds me that as a borner of Knysna, I was born with the choo-choo train. The choo-choo train was here. You're quite correct. Where the Checkers Mall is, it's part of it. As if you can hear at 12 o'clock, the choo-choo train will always make that alarm at 12 o'clock. And it was all these years since I was 5, 6, I will notice that at 12 o'clock, that alarm will go off. So it's still on. So I'm happy for that. There's nothing to talk and say that we don't want it and whatsoever. It's a good thing because I know it will be, when it coming back, you've got a vision of holding, or is it a restaurant, whatever that is inside. That is going to be much better than it used to be before. So that's what I'm saying, that waitresses, bars, and all that stuff will be. So it's a privilege for us in Knysna as soon as possible. I'm also curious of saying that I so wish that it cannot be done in 2030 and 2035. We want to see it before we die.
No,
Yeah,
so do
thank
I.
you.
Thank you very
Bottom?
much.
Do you want to answer first? Okay,
If I
Tom.
can just answer it, the concept of employing local labor or specialists is what it's all about. That's. I mean, I lived in Knysna for 20 years, so I regard myself as a Knysna man. That's exactly what we do. We're talking to all the local contractors. There's not one big guy that's going to come in here and fix it. It's made up of local guys. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Mr. Bottom?
Mr. McVitie, congratulations to you and your team on this achievement. I'm sure the whole region is looking forward to the economic spin-offs of this project once fully operational. My question goes around the operational parameters. On the days that the fire risks are high, would you have access to Transnet diesel locomotives to assist?
Thank you for that question. I'm actually meeting with and I don't know the gentleman's name is Dirk. I don't have his surname with me, but we're meeting next week or the week after. Years back, I met with the local fire chief and we worked out a fire action plan, let's say, and a risk assessment of how we manage fires. The first thing is that the traditional steam locomotive is the fuel is coal, so it can generate sparks and hot coals on the track, and that's a source of a potential fire. In the chimney of the locomotive, they have a grating that captures the sparks, and that's grating, if that's maintained daily, then it avoids sparks coming out of the chimney. So that's a must-do in our daily routine. Another aspect of that coal fire generating a fire is when it, like the Belvedere, when it climbed up the Belvedere hill, it would run out of power near the top of the hill and it would stop. And then they would rattle the grating of the firebox to make the fire hotter, to heat up the water, to generate the steam. So what they've done now is they've put that handle that rattles the fire grating, they put it outside the cab. So the engine driver actually has to get outside the cab and stand on the ground and rattle it and get the fire to be hotter. And he can see then if any coals have dropped down onto the track. And on the fire engine itself, you have a hose pipe to put that fire out. That's one of the concepts that was developed by the local, the old Outeniquetutu. We then spoke about, at the time to the fire chief here, we spoke about cameras along the journey at what we call hotspots. That would be a hotspot. In other words, we knew that we had to rattle the cage and then it could start a fire. So we'd have a camera there and a screen in his fire station so he would monitor the train's journey. Now, since then, PG Bison have put up a lot of cameras for their own fire management system. And we've got a meeting with them not this week or next week, to discuss that very thing as to where their cameras are and whether we cannot put up cameras in spots that are not covered by their cameras, but then would be covered by ours, and then we'd have a joint operational team that could monitor both camera systems of the train on a journey. But the fire chief himself also has a process. We're going to have a coal-fired locomotive, because that's the traditional way steam engines worked. We've now got oil-fired locomotives, so it's a different system of heating the water, and that doesn't cause felt fires because there are no sparks. So if the fire chief says that the temperature of the day is too hot, you have to run oil-fired, then we run an oil-fired locomotive. And that minimizes it takes away the risk of fire caused by the locomotive. The other issue that we discussed at the time, and we've brought it up again in our discussions is there's a helicopter club, or they used to call it the helicopter club. It used to have a helicopter at Gona, I think it was. And you could pay an annual amount to join the club, and that you then could call the helicopter out to fight the fire, and the provincial government would pay for the first 2 hours. So if you paid this annual fee, then you would be able to initiate that helicopter. So our philosophy was, you don't have to wait until you've got a big fire before you pull out a helicopter. You call it out and put it out within the 2 hours. But it's all in the process of discussion, and it's very much in the front row with our learning curve on the ground as we speak. And once, we'll come up with an acceptable plan to all parties as to how to manage that fire. So that's we've also got a diesel locomotive that's independent of steam, and that's just diesel in the locomotive. And that's the final option, is you just run a diesel train. But then from a tourist point of view, they're not experienced a steam train journey, and you get criticism and disappointment. So it's a balancing act, but it's an issue that we're taking seriously, and we have already have found the right people to talk to take a conversation to conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now on this item, I'll allow my TM next to me, and then Mr. Douglas, the director, is going to wrap it up. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. We are pleased to have something like this. This is, or that you will bring it back. As the chairperson of tourism of this town, we welcome that. But we also want to make it clear that we're not going to be dictated and ambushed and run around by white people with swords on and long socks with kammetjies in the socks. Wait, Sabah.
No, point of order, no,
No,
Chairperson,
listen,
that's out of
wait, I'm
line.
talking. It's my right to talk. We need to make sure that the process, it will be equal and just for each and everybody. We know for many years, if you don't want to know it and want to look away from it, that we have been manipulated with these by Transnet, and we have been done in and overlooked for several years because it was done by a certain group. You don't have to know it or want to know it or want to believe it. So I'm saying that we are pleased that you have come and took the opportunity to come and present this to us. That is what Knysna is needing, because it will be good for tourism, it will be good for the waste, as you have mentioned.
you have covered a couple of issues that we are really in need of. And therefore, I'm saying that it is of utmost importance that the opportunities that will be there and created through this project and program that it will be shared into our communities and for the people out there. That is what I'm saying here. And yes, the time frames and as the other councillor that left the room was saying that we don't want it to go into a 2030 or 2029 or whatever, that we stick to the time frames. But also, as I know for the George one, it depends obviously on the construction of the road that they're busy with, by when that will be sorted and in order for the rails to be put in place. So thank you once again for this initiative and presentation that you have put together for us, and I'm sure that it will be of great help for the tourism side of the town. Thank you.
Councillor Law, I'm not going to allow you now
I
because
just want to find out, just Chairperson, you must bear with us. I just want to find out, are you the CEO of the company that is dealing with it?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine, thanks.
Mr. Douglas, can you repeat that, please, so that we can carry on moving to another item?
The gentleman want to answer.
Do you want to answer? Can you answer after Director, please?
Chairperson, thanks. I think the reason why we have this presentation here was just to inform and update this committee as well as council. I think moving forward, the reason why also we're engaging with Mr. McVitie, he is the concessionaire of all the Transnet properties. And as council know that we are renting from Transnet, especially the transfer station as well as for the taxi holding bay. Those agreements have lapsed. So we're in breach as of the MFMA. So we are continuing on a month-to-month basis. And that's why I've also asked them, based on that, that we engage with Mr. McVitie, who is then the owner of the company or the concessionaire for these pieces of properties that they make this presentation to council. We do have a meeting on Thursday with Transnet regarding the matter at the transfer station, and then we'll see what will they decide on how we move forward with the existing agreement that we are having with Transnet property. So a formal item will serve at our next Section 80 based on this presentation, as well as the engagement that we'll be having with Transnet moving forward. That was basically the purpose of this presentation, Chairperson, to the Section 80. I think it's also important that perhaps as the Chairperson of the Strategic Planning noted, that it is critical that this presentation also forms part of that Section 80 committee on the local economic development and tourism side of this very, very important initiative from Mr. McVitie.
Thank you very much. Mr. Victor, you can say your last words. Mr. Victor.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I think just to clear our philosophy as a company on how we work together, we've got a number of people in our team at the moment who are ex-Transnet. They took packages years back. Deleanne Enderley, she's a coloured lady that's been my friend since 2012. She used to be at Transnet. She used to run the reefer trains, which are the refrigerated trains from Limpopo to Cape Town. She initiated them in 1906. We are exceptionally good working partners and friends. And we've got a number of other people in a similar position. So I'm a team player. I'm not, I think, and I need to say it because it's been said before that the choo-choo was a white man's toy and let them get on with it. I've never looked at it as a steam train that's my toy. I see it as an economic generator to create jobs, and that's my motivation. And it's not a case of trying to make my millions out of a steam train. It's a case of making it a success for everybody. So I appreciate your frankness, and I'm sure we'll find each other that we work together to make a success of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCarthy. Why I always say McCarthy? Thank you very much, Mr. McVitie. So thank you very much for your presentation and your initiatives, meaning that let's hope that come next time, then everything in Nice is going to back to normal. So thank you very much. You can, please. Well done. You can excuse us.
I had unfortunately he passed away, but I met a Zambian man. He was a quantity surveyor for the Kazangula Bridge over the Zambezi. His name is Alvin Sindowe. We spoke every night at 7:30 for 5 years. I'd phone him and say, how are you? He'd say, fine, that might be the conversation. Or would it be about other matters? And when he introduced me to his friends in Zambia, he'd pat his friend on the back and he'd point to me and he'd say, this is my brother. He says, we have the same mother, but we're not sure about our father. And that's the relationship.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you. Okay, right, we're done.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are now on 4.1, page. We are on 4.1, page 4.
Just give time for the Obasis to leave, then we can continue.
Chairperson, if I may. Sorry, I just need to and the scene is working. The director technical was here before the meeting started. He unfortunately had to leave. There is a meeting with Salga on the water and sanitation, so I'm just submitting his apology for the record.
Okay, thank you very much, MM. Selina, minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on the 5th November 2025.
We can note that, Chairperson.
Okay. So we all note. Thank you. Item number 5, page
Chairperson?
11.
Chair?
Okay, Vincent.
I'm sorry to take us back. My hand was up, so you didn't see it. We do note the minutes, but I have a question. We need feedback on that because there's no feedback with regards to the new agenda. If we go to page 8, item CO3 1125, if we can please just have some clarity and update around. I'm just trying to get there. Apologies. I'm just going to my agenda. Item CO3 1125, with regards to the waste forum number C, that recycling bins be introduced for all the public open spaces, including community halls across the Knysna area, commencing with Ward 1 and 2. And council did approve that. If we can please have an update on the implementation of these?
Director?
Chairperson, feedback will be given in our schedule that we normally submit to council. It will form part of it.
Thank you very much. We move item number 5, which is page 11. Matter submitted by the acting municipal manager, C01/02/26, report on the municipality health and environment service for October 2025, November 2025, and December 2025. Report from the Director, Waste Management. Thank you.
Chairperson, councillors, members of the committee, good morning. I present to you the report for Municipal Health Services for the month of November and December. Starting with November, Section A, is there any questions? Section B. Continue with Section C. Section E. I don't have the page numbers with me now. Page 18. Okay.
Chairperson, through you, just want on this public toilets, because I see you, none of the premises inspected, there's 2. We have a lot of public toilets, and I want to make a proposal here, through you, Chairperson, to the Director. Director, our public toilets, we know how many public toilets we have in Knysna. Can we not transfer that public toilets, especially when it comes to your washing of your hands, and see how we can deal with the same water that we are washing our hands, it go back into the system? Because you see the new flushing toilet, these bioseptic toilets that we are using, when you wash your hands in that base, the water is going back where it comes from. Can we, now I ask through the Chairperson to the Director, if we can maybe look into that we can have in these public toilets, have a system, because we are scarce water area in Knysna, and we can look into that, especially in the public toilets.
Chairperson noted, we
Director?
will look at all our public toilets, all our amenities. I think that's, we do have some few rands available that we can retrospectively fit the indicated ones. So we will definitely have to look at it moving forward.
Thanks for that, man.
I think it's Chairperson, and I'll go to page 19. I continue with page 20. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, sorry, I was not here. I was on page 8. I just need to know, because I see there at C04, I see you've already passed that one, yes. But, no, but we cannot note. No, but we cannot note, we need to deal, because it's not
But
something
we was not here, Councillor Beauty. But
Yes,
you
but
can,
it
you can ask your question, but you was not here.
Yes,
So-
but it doesn't mean that if I'm not here, I can't go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom as I do it here. Now what I need to know is, if you go up to Ntingilan, there's no sign, and we've been talking about this illegal dumping for 2 years now. There's no sign there. Now we are noting here for something that is not happening. You look at the left there, there is a kraal of animals. It's a farm, and then it's a dumping. And then on the other side, it's people that are staying there. Which side, of the illegal dumping side, are we talking about? Are we talking about in town, or are we talking about only or in the northern areas? Because the same thing, it is still, and it becomes worse. Now, here's what I'm saying, that what is written here, there's no action that has been taken.
Sorry, Chairperson, can I just?
Yeah, just chip in.
I think this is action items which the director have said that he will deal with in in another meeting. And therefore, I mean, this is minutes of the 5th of November 2025 already. So I think the illegal dumping, the establishment of the Setchfield thing and report on traffic and law enforcement, that will come within a complete report from the specific departments, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the director can just clarify that.
Thanks, Chairperson. What we normally do, all these minutes go to council, council adopt the resolutions, and then it goes into our execution list, and it's within the execution list where we explain what we did, rather than another report into our Section 80 committees.
Thank you. Councillor David? And
Good morning.
Councillor after.
Good morning, Chair and everyone. Just on page 19 at the bottom, and I know it's old reports, but I just want to find out the issue related to the pollution, man, in the CB, Knysna CBD, the compromised position, and also the water pollution into the recreational areas. I know that is continuing, but this is a report I see from the district, maybe to ask, what is actually being done? Do people get letters? What type of consequence methods or mechanisms are in place to deal with this? Because this was in November, it's been continuing. Because I mean, for us to get the comments speak about this, but we
Councillor
actually want to know if we can get inputs on in terms of what has been done since that time, because we are now in February. Thank you.
Councillor Vincent, and then Director then. Councillor Vincent?
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry. Thank you, Chairperson. Just on what the director mentioned, I take note of that. But my concern around the information on the execution list is, we all know when we go to council, there's no information and updated on the execution list. So I'm requesting that we get it right this time for this department, that when we do have an execution list, that it please be updated. And then with regards to this item, I think my frustration here, and I can only imagine how the district feels, is it's the same thing all the time. The recommendations and the interventions required around the estuary, around the homelessness, around all of those things. We've been talking about the same thing for years and nothing is being done. And I think I want to emphasize my frustration and the lack of bringing the solutions and implementing what is needed for the environment as well as the homeless situation at the estuary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Director, you can chip in then.
Thanks, Chairperson. I take note what Councillor Venstein is saying, but we update our execution list before it goes to council for circulation, but we'll make sure that we do update. On the sampling results, Chairperson, the reason why it's with community services, because we are doing health education, advocacy role, but the critical role is with the technical services department. So we also refer these results to the technical services department to take note of it. What happened? I think councillors are fully aware of the 3 directives from DWS as well as from the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development. And yesterday we met with the prosecutor in George, and the consequences for this municipality is very bad. It's in the vicinity of between 100 million and 650 million for non-compliance. So what we are trying to do from community services side is to, with the Garden Route District Municipality, to roll out advocacy discussions, health education, etc. But really the one on the quality of the water, it's an issue that the technical services needs to address as a matter of urgency based on yesterday as well as moving forward. I know that the acting MM will engage with the mayor. There will be an item going to council on the 26th of February regarding the court order that is between 100 and 650 million. So it's very bad, councillors, and really we'll have to look at how do we deal with these results that we normally get from Garden Route District Municipality so that we can reduce the non-compliant of these, be it now drinking water. As you can see, some of these are drinking water and some of these are recreational water. So that's also a critical area that we'll have to focus on, how we as community services then educate the community to wash their hands, not indiscriminate dumping that takes place. I think the most critical one, Chairperson, is the issue around our businesses that don't have fat traps to reduce blockages. So we will have to sit down with Garden Route and our local economic development department to work out a plan for our businesses that we can zoom in into our businesses that don't have fat traps, and that we keep them liable for any blockages moving forward, that we issue fines if there's no fat trap outside that business within the business hive. So from our side as community services, that's basically why this is here, is for our department to take note, to do the awareness creation and to engage with the communities, but we're not involved in the critical infrastructure that needs to be dealt with. But I will also ask Mr. Hervels to add if there's anything else.
I think Chairperson, I think the Director have covered us very well there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, mine is very simple, straightforward. Community service is doing what they have to do. Why do we have in this municipality environmental department?
Come again?
Why do we have an environmental department in this municipality? With all these things that we are facing now, the first stop was supposed to be, when we have an environmental department, is this department that must guide us. We can't have a department that are sitting in offices and looking nicely and good, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. The environmental department is to inform us, this, if it doesn't do this, this is going to happen. This is straightforward. But what they are doing, and I'm actually sorry that the deputy mayor is out. They're sitting in the offices. We inform them even about that sewage that is running into the river, that Bigai River. I even informed them about. But did they go out there? They didn't do that. The only thing they do, they're on their laptops. So that's why I'm saying that. If people don't want to do that they're supposed to do, they must sip out. Because community service, technical service, that is a component that they have to see and deal with these issues. But the people that must guide us when it comes to environmental issues is the environmental department. And they must say to us, if this is what you're doing here, not correctly, this will be the consequence of it. That's why there are environmental departments. That's why we need strong hands now to deal with these issues. How can we go to George and have meetings with lawyers? Now we have to get between 100 million rand to 600 million rand fines because we don't comply. We don't comply. That's why the different departments must work hand in glove together. And people don't have to like me what I'm saying. They can run to the other leadership. I don't care. But what I'm saying that if environmental, they must guide us on any issue, even if you want to do development. The environmental people must come in to see, can you do that there? Can you do that? They guide us. But in the municipality, community service, why are the water like that? Community service, why is that like that? Community service, why is that like that? They must work as one team, even if they don't like each other. That's what they need to do. And I say here, people don't have to like me. What I'm saying, environmental must start to play their role in this municipality.
You're quite right, Councillor Low. We must work really hand in glove. Councillor Beauty, After you, it's Director Dunya. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. You're quite correct, Councillor Low. And I think the directors, they are the ones who should look at their staff. Because I know sometimes some are undermining their directors. Then we are going to point fingers at the director and say the director is not doing his or her job. And number two, we should look, how many funds do we have? When we are talking about community service, we are talking about the office or the department that speaks a lot to the community with everything, it's life. So now I don't want to lie, I don't trust the garden route now. They are not going to support us because they want us to fail. So we need to focus and send everything, the paperwork, so that we can have a stance of saying when we are writing to province or national and saying that this is what we have sent. I'm not expecting anything good that is going to come from this municipality to the garden route. Hence, I've also said to the MEC, you don't want to support the municipality whereby you are not in power. That's what I said to Anton Bradel. And I'm repeating it here. We should now, we are on our own. We are like the birds. We are on our own. Don't make focus too much on the garden route. The garden route, they are going to drag their feet. They are going to drag so that we can fail, but we will show them flames. What's come for Allah? Thank you.
Director Dunya.
Thanks, Chairperson, and good morning to you and good morning to the members. Good morning, Acting MM and staff. I just want to comment to say where we have the resources, we try our level best to support and give guidance. We don't actually implement. We are the authority. Then we give maintenance management plans. When we have got funds, we develop such plans, and these plans are necessary to guide how to maintain the overflows to the river, from the rivers and other issues. So we've done our level best with the minimum amount of money that we are able to get to develop such plans. I take note of the fact that we need now to collaborate in terms of these testings. I think we will engage, as our director also has indicated, that let's come together and see how do we do the testings together as a team, where we don't just leave to the district on its own. I think it was also raised in the war room meetings that we need to look at that strategy. We are currently experiencing 2 resignations. We don't have a manager and we don't have an environmental officer. They've already resigned. However, we cannot say that is an excuse of doing our work, but we understand that we have our regulations guiding also in terms of what is under the law and what is not under the law. So the user departments, we all know that they understand the consequences. Where we've got directives, we assist in developing responses and action plans. We develop action plans in support of the departments. So we are doing our level best. Where we don't have funds, we go and source funding from provincial and national government. We still need now, we've developed, we've done the Nutsi seawall that has fallen apart, but we rebuilt it through the grants, and we are currently sourcing funding for us to do the maintenance management plan for Nutsi. So wherever we can, we're not saying we might not be falling at some stages, but I'm noting the concerns of the water quality tests, and we will then start to collaborate and ensure that we work together and look at those results. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Councillor Kgerike.
Okay, I believe they were looking for me here in the meeting when I stepped out. I'm sorry, I've got council meeting on the other side, right, which I have councillors, 5 councillors in, that I had to advise as the president of the PBI, so therefore I had to step out. I think let us, if there is anything that is concerning the planning department in this report, we would gladly write the item and have it then serve in our section 80, which is the just and right thing to do, because we don't want to hijack community safety section 80. So I think with the S3 and with Bihai and with all these things, it's also, and with the environmental, then we have the acting manager or the acting consultant, so to speak. He will be present and in that meeting to answer and assist us and give us direction in the correct way. We also had people within our section 80 that was held last year that came and did a presentation. And the person who was looking for me now in this meeting, from actually part of that committee, and he's aware of the fact that these people came to present on the Bihai, etc., etc. So let us rather move on, and if need be, we can compile an item, the councillor of the EFF, which we can then present in our section 80. Thank you, Chairperson. We can move with this.
Councillor Beauty, after you says Councillor Law, then.
I'm just
enough.
worried, Chairperson, when the Director of Planning have just mentioned now that 2 of the managers have resigned. See, this is the problem, the situation we're sitting with. Before a person resigns, send a letter and saying that I'm giving a notice. Before resigning. And this municipality is not doing anything. They don't want now. Who is doing now the work that was done by those people? Is the same people that this municipality don't want to promote. And we did implement. We did implement the promotion. But this municipality don't want to promote our people. That is why we are going to lose good people that are working for us. You can never be on grade R for the rest of your life. This is what they are doing in this municipality. Now you want now to instead of promoting those who are inside, you want to advertise and brought somebody who must be taught and showed where is this cup going to be by the same people that you don't want to promote, which is wrong. Now we are going to blame that department. But now they are working with the shortage staff. It's the same thing that happened in the Department of Infrastructure. That's the same thing. So acting I don't know how we are going to deal with this. But we need to come up with a solution. We can never take a pile of work and put it on our workers. They must do, and they are not getting an extra cent, nothing. You don't want to promote, you don't want to open vacancies for our people and make offices. When I came here, Mr. Kola France was sitting there on that chair up until today. He's still sitting there. There is nothing that is going on. Nee man, gee vir die mense ander Christmas klere, dat hulle dit kan aantrek. Jeez.
I said, please. Yes. Councillor Law.
Thanks. The first thing that I want to ask Chairperson is parliamentary for political parties to wear the political gear when they come to a meeting like this, where it shows that they belong to the PA. I just want to find out that one. The other one, I just want to find out, Chairperson. Now, this is red. I just want to find out, Chairperson. And I want to comment what the director has said, director from Planning and Development. If you have given them plans, if they doesn't implement, what do you give to them? Then the buck must stop with them. If the plans that you say this is what you must implement to prevent that, if you have given to infrastructure that, then it means infrastructure failed us. If you have given that to community service, then it means community service have failed us. Because what you are saying here today to us is that There's plans, you give to them, you advise them, and they must implement it. Because they are the implementers of it. But if they doesn't do that, then we're sitting with a problem. But we can continue. Chairperson, I hope in the next meeting you're going to answer me about the political parties' emblems in the meeting.
You also wearing it, miss.
No.
That red of yours. That red of yours. Okay. Mr. Havels?
Chairperson, if I can go to the December report, with your permission.
Thank you.
I just want to emphasize on the December report, you can see there on the on the December report, page December. My apologies, I don't have the whole agenda. Page 30. Yeah. Page 30, 31. If we can go to 30, 33. You can see there that we are focused on chemical samples, and that focus was mainly on spaza shops to get that cheaper or products that the kids eat and things. That was the focus on that one. And in this month again, we're taking, there's a national run on that as well. We're taking things like biscuits, chips, even bottled water is also a sample run for this month. So we're focusing mainly on spaza shops for that. I just wanted to put that on here, to emphasize that. And then on page 34, I also wanted to just say that the health and hygiene sessions regarding disposal of oil, the directive touched on it. We focused in the month of December, we had a big run of visiting food premises where we checked and ordered their fat traps, making sure that that fat is being received or returned to the suppliers, the safe disposal of that oil into the fat traps. It was a big run in December. I just wanted to put that 2 points there as well. And I think if there's no other questions, I would like to go to page 35. And I have
Can you just wait for him then?
Before you move, we're getting a lot of complaints, and you're mentioning about spaza shops. I know you guys are with health, and maybe I'm speaking on the wrong platform, but it forms part of this committee. The people are complaining, and they want to score political points here now, with the eyes on the 2026 or our November local government elections, where they are fighting dramatically with these spaza shops, where the guys are adding a 10, a 2 rand or 50 cent or whatever to the airtime or to when they're purchasing something. I just want clarity. I know you guys are dealing with health issues, but seeing that you are from the garden route, who is the people that they can complain to? Because it's becoming our problem now as the Knysna municipality, where they want us to intervene and they want to close down the people's shops, etc., etc. So if we can just maybe, we are on YouTube, so I'm sure there's certain people or people are listening. Director, Dr. Johnny, if you can maybe just assist. We were on the topic of spaza shops. If it's possible, thank you.
Councillor Beauty, while they are busy talking there.
I'm glad the leader have raised the issue of the spaza shops. I, as the councillor of the PA, from my party, I have an authority to go and fight for the increase of the 1 rand, 2 rand that they are charging. I went there last week and I told them, my friend, you are not allowed to charge extra money for our people, because we took as a community a stance and sit with all these spaza shops. Number one, our government in Knysna, actually, there is not a single SA citizen that is running a spaza shop. Shows you how disabled we are. Not a single spaza shop is run by South Africans. So, how disabled can we be? You come and you can look when you are giving the permits. It's foreigners. You look and see the whole. There's no South African citizens. So I am saying that these people, they know, because on my understanding, there was a fine that was set here by the municipality. If they charge, I think a 5,000 fine will be charged if they are charging extra money from the electricity. So, but it is just a talk, but because these people, they continue to do it because our municipality is not doing anything. Up until we as community, we stood up and say to them, we are not going to do it. We held a meeting in Kayalet with them. Then they agree of saying that they are not going to charge extra money, because we are crying about the electricity, about water, about the airtime and data. That's what they are doing. But all I can say that we are disabled. It can never be the whole town, all spazas. We've got permit. We are giving the permit to the foreigners, but there's no SA citizen that is running a spaza shop. The only thing that we have is the taverns and the taxis, nothing else. So what are we going to do? What are we crying for? It's our own and our government that allow these people to run the spaza shops. Why can't we run spaza shops? So we can't blame anyone. We should blame ourselves. Because the municipality, you can also ask yourself that, why is it only these people? Where are the South Africans? Because it's only the people that coming and produce the passport and their papers, their legal documents. That's what but ask yourself, who is disabled? We are disabled for not asking our people, for not supporting our people to run the spaza shops. Now we must go in now and use our tax money to assist, because if you look at Sanlam, it's only those people who are running those spaza shops. Look at the waste there. The waste, it is there now. Our own tax money must be used to clean that place, those people. So that's all that I can say. There's nothing that we can do because we allow those people to run the spaza shops. But I can tell you, Deputy Mayor, that I go into each and every shop and stop them. You are not going to charge our people. Thank you.
Ms. Abels, are you finished?
Chairperson, yeah, if we can talk on water quality on page 35. Yeah, all those non-compliant samples, you'll probably look at that, and the follow-up samples we took that have complied. And as you know, during this water crisis, well, we have taken extensive samples with water trucks on the water reticulation system, the sources of the water. So, and yeah, we continue with water sampling with that as well to make sure it's safe water. And I just want to touch on that as well, that's saying that we also do education. When the people gather to take the 20-liter drums, we do some education around with the community at the water tanks itself from our side as well. I think, in fact, yeah, I conclude water quality. We have touched on the recreational samples. We discussed that. It's the same, as we can see, the same samples, chronic non-compliant from the land-based pollution sources. And final effluent. And Chairperson, I think that concludes my report. Thank you very much. If there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wells. Natalie, only one thing that I want to find out. We also have a problem with the tax rank, so I don't know whether, even yesterday I was there, that problem is still not solved, and then I would like you to make sure that, because on the other side, people are selling the food, all that, you see. So, as we know that last year, I think on December, the rank, that side of the, what you call, the hawkers, bent down, but now that rubble is still lying there. So I'd like you to take note of that, and then people starting to be furious now about that thing. Thank you. Now, our recommendations is on page 12. Can we note?
Are the people still there because we are not a majority?
There are two there.
Are they
Russell's,
Check and
Russell also is there. Councillor Russell, can you hear me? Winston? Van Skelwick?
Yes, Chairperson, I can hear you, and yes, Chairperson, we can move with the recommendations.
Van Skelwick, are you there? Aranza? So, we are three. Huh?
I'm here, Chairperson.
Okay. So meaning that we can move. Thank you. Now we are on page 39, item 5.2, C02/02/26, Solid Waste Management Unit Report, February 2026, report from the Director, Community Service. Thank you.
Good morning, chairpersons. Good morning, councillors, everybody else. I'm just going to take you through with my report. As the purpose for this report is just to update everybody on the operational performance, compliance status, challenges and progress in the solid waste department. You will see the background there is just speak about the Section 154 support plan, and then also the Council Direction of Waste Minimization Initiative and Recycling under the Tender 04. And then I also speak about the EOI of the public, the illegal dumping. We implement that on an as and when required basis. However, the challenge is still ongoing where we do clean and then within a week the same situation arises. Then on the 39 page, on the last bit, I'll speak about the facilities within the Nyasa municipality, like the transfer station, Old Place, Garden site, the Sedgefield recycling site, the Sedgefield waste and builder site, and the Brenton site. And then you will also see on page 40 the estimate cost it will cost the municipality when and if we close or decommission the Old Place Garden site. So for this year, it's about 19 to 20 million. And that site we actually need to close, but because we don't have any other waste facility or identify other land for a garden site, that site is still in operation. Then as we go down to the discussions, point 1, I speak about the transfer station that was fully operation during October, December, and then also in January. We had some issues mid-January where there was some challenges with the service providers and from finance side. But however, that has now been rectified, where we have now the service provider back, and then they're transporting waste to Petro SA. We also had a challenge 2 weeks back where Petro SA was closed for 2.5 weeks. Last week, they were closed for 4 days. So that also has a huge impact on us in terms of stockpiling waste outside, which that also meant that we couldn't dispose of our waste with our hook lift at the Petro SA landfill site. You will also see that during, I think, mid and the last week of January, because we had that issue of our hook lift, some of our compacted trucks drove through to Mossel Bay. That also had an impact, or will have an impact, on our budget, especially for fuel and oil. And then also we had some backlogs, but currently that has been rectified. You will also see point 2 on page 40 that we've purchased 2 compactors. However, we are still waiting on bin lifters for their trucks. The RFQ have closed on Friday. I'm just waiting for the fleet manager to report back to me on the prices of that.
Then point 3, we are in process of procuring an additional hook lift truck and trailer. The process went to BAC. It was sent back to BEC. There was some questions or information that they need. We're just waiting on the sitting of that BEC, and then it will go back to BEC for approval, and then we will probably purchase the hook lift truck. So you will also see that I'm busy with a tender to procure containerized bins and open tops bins for the transfer station, because the open tops bins, if we do have stockpiling, then currently we are using open top bins, but we are renting from service providers. You will see waste vehicles. If you go down to page 42, that is all our waste vehicles. The green, this report is on 2nd of February, so which means it will be needed to update. But all the green are the trucks that are in commission, that are busy. The orange is in commission, but that truck was waiting for the cylinder, so it was working. However, when the cylinder came, they've taken it out of commission. Then you will see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the trucks that is out of commission. It's either roadworthy, or it's PTO, or it's brakes, and we're also waiting for licensing and roadworthy. There is on page, 43, there is CX44032 that I think we will scrap, and because it doesn't have bin lifters, and that truck is also, I think, more than 20 years old. CX44033, I'm waiting on fleet because there's an insurance claim on that we are waiting for, and that needs to be done before it can go for roadworthy. Then CX28385, we're also waiting on fleet. That is in George, also because of the bin lifters that is not working, and that is hydraulic, for hydraulics issues. You will see the last one in green is a hook lift, which is currently in operation. Then on point 3, the garden disposal sites. As all of everybody know, we have some issues in terms of illegal dumping, especially at the old place garden site or dumping along the road. That issue has been temporarily looked at, where our where our transfer station operator, not the operator, the supervisor, go there 3 or 4 times a day just to check if there's no people dumping along the road. We have come across where people and companies dump along the road, where we communicate either to law enforcement and or with OCI, then you will send out a law enforcement official. There's 2 processes. They pick up the stuff which they throw along the road and go and dump it on top, and or they pick up and we do fine them depending on how the attitude is, I can say. Then the Sedgefield site, we've also have an issue with the Sedgefield site, where with the previous, like I said, where the service providers couldn't do or couldn't give us or provide us the service. However, they are back on site. They've started, I think, on last week, what's today? Last week, Thursday, they started there with the front-end loader and then collecting of our bulk waste that is there. I see he just called me now. I think it's probably regarding an update on what is happening on that site. So we are busy with that as well. I've spoken to my director to see, because currently our staffing and our vacancy rate is also making a huge impact. I've spoken to my director to see if we can maybe then go out on tender to privatize the 2 sites for management, to get the management of the 2 sites how can I say, correct and according to the licensing conditions. Then on point 4, you will see just some feedback. I think Shahida will, on the time, will let you know about the seasonal residence plan. But from waste, we appointed service providers during the holiday that has a significant positive impact in supporting the waste section. They were on each picnic area, there was a service providers appointed that looked at the cleaning and the public toilets in Buffalo Bay, Brenton, Cathy's Park, Coney Glen, and Leisure Isle. So they were appointed from the 1st of December up until the 30th of January. Now the contract has stopped, so now our staff need to go back and look at that. But again, I'm going to tell you, we've got some vacancies and staffing issues, so that's also a challenge from us. Point number 4, like I said, the staffing issues. Currently, on our organogram, we've got 7 approved drivers' positions. However, if you go through that list, we've got about 14 compacted refuse trucks, some that work, some that don't work, and all of that. So what we are currently doing is taking from our general assistants that does have license and that have municipal license, now appointing them as acting drivers, but that now has a huge impact on our general assistant numbers because they are the ones that assist the drivers at the back of the truck and collecting our waste. So we need to balance these two. And then also one of our general assistants is assisting as the JCB operator at the transfer station and then also at the garden site. So now we're already losing another general assistant there. That's what I've discussed at the general assistant point number 2. Then you will also see the hooklift driver and the assistant. Currently, we've got 1 hooklift driver and 1 hooklift assistant, which are driving our heavy vehicle. But if anything happens to that person, we are going to be in, I don't know what street, but we are currently busy with looking at reserve drivers and all of that, so that if something happened to that person, gets sick or he needs to go to this family or whatever, we would have a reserve driver. But I'm not only looking within my department, I'm also looking within the directorate, but I'm also looking within the whole municipality. And then, like I said, the current staffing model presents a significant operational risk. Should any of the specialized or acting staff members be absent on any given day, the waste section's ability function will be effectively severely. Also, like I said about the hook lift, we only have 1 driver, although we've got an approved post on that. It's not funded, so we need to look at that, especially when we are busy procuring the hook lift and also the compacted drivers. We don't have positions on our organogram to appoint and acting for those 2 compactors. However, these challenges were highlighted and raised through my director to HR. I've also sent him my wish or draft organogram for discussions with the MM. And then you will just, on the other figure, it's just some figures on the recycling. And the external audit has been conducted with a GRAP report for 2025-26 financial year. The review of the IWMP has been extended because of the regional landfill site that are not in operation, and that letter was given to us by provincial through the Garden Route District Municipality. The regional landfill site, we've spoken about it, the SLA, the pricing will now go to a standard pricing, but between me and director and legal, we need to write the correct wording on the SLA and send it back to Garden Route for approval and approval with all the other local municipalities. We have, through Garden Route, required or asked for a height extension at the Petro Okay, we've applied for a height extension at the Petro SA landfill, which was approved. However, as you go up with the slopes, the dumping area gets smaller just to stabilize it. So we need to just keep that in mind. And then our next regional landfill site meeting with all the participant municipalities is on the 5th of March. The figure on the loss is just the figures of the rand value that we've spent up until December for disposal, then the rand value for the two recycling companies, and the tonnages that they have required or extracted from the normal waste streams. And that's about it from our side.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Only other thing that I would like to get a clarity on it is the issue of the casuals, 12 casuals, which are monitoring the water, what do you call it? Can you answer on that one?
The casuals on that's monitoring where, Councillor?
The water,
I don't have casuals that's monitoring the water.
there is a thing like that. Can you answer?
That's under law enforcement, and it will normally comes through the corporate services department and not community services. So
Okay.
that's a report that corporate services will submit on the number of temporary staff appointed, etc.
Councillor Beauty?
Thank you, Chairperson. You see, this department is the department that suffers a lot when it comes to budget. And you know, it's like when you are cooking and you can see your gas or your electricity on the stove, it might just say that 00. This is exactly what is happening in this department. And it is not something that happened now. It's been coming a long way on this department. So I don't think that what they have given us now here on this report, we can't stand against the report that they are giving us, because as I can see, they do as they can with a zero budget. With a zero budget. So they are trying, look, on these vacancies. Now, these are just these vacancies. How many years is Mr. Barnes? Is there somebody in his place? Nobody. You see, we will always have that gap, like my president's front. That gap will always be there. Because now who's doing the work that was done by Mr. Barnes? You just said it here now. Look at the general assistants, the hook lifter, driver, and the assistants. And those are the crucial. We need those people. So if there's no money, it's not to say the director of corporate doesn't know about that. It's not to say the MM doesn't know about that. They know about it. So how are we going to do? What are you guys are going to do? That's what I'm saying, Chairperson. In this department is the department that is working under pressure when it comes to finance. They are working under pressure. And nobody who's on top, we are just talking and talking and talking. But watch, 2020, no, November, the Danga had balance. Things are going to change. Things are going to balance, because it can never be correct. You're right when you are saying that when one is sick, you don't have somebody who's going to be a substitute and take over. Then who's going to get the blame? Then the opposition will go to carte blanche and say, come and look what is happening. But they know exactly that there is no money. So we need to do the director of finance must come. We must assist this department. When you are talking about community service, you are talking about life. I don't even want to go into the library. Inchoronchor. Inchoronchor is a Jan Krabs of water. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor, 'Councillor 'Tsango? Councillor Tsangwa, can you hear me? Okay, Councillor Winston.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Natalie. You lost your turn, Councillor Chenga. I'm on the floor now.
I'm in the house. I'm in the house.
Okay, Councillor Tsangwa is back. Councillor Tsangwa, sorry, Councillor Winston.
Can I proceed or must I wait?
Proceed, then Tsangwa is going to follow.
Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you for this report. It is a good report, very in detailed, and we do appreciate it. It's such a time like this in our community. I just want to take you through to page 39. I know I asked this previously in the minutes, but I think this might be a good platform since it is mentioned in this report on the agenda around page 39, the waste minimization initiatives, recycling programs. Just if you can maybe give us an update and a feedback around the recycling open spaces and progress for that specifically in Ward 1 and 2 as per the minutes and the council resolution. And then I want to commend your department and you, Natalie, and the director through you, Chair, around the garden refuse site in Sedgefield. Thank you for the work done there and the progress. It is much appreciated. We are grateful for that. And then the recycling center, is there any clarity on that lease? As I see, there's a lot of operations happening there. But it's not fully functional because people are still illegally dumping their refuse outside the recycling center in Sedgefield. And there's been no proper correct communication or no clarity for me to inform the community either around the lease that's happened there, and that community cannot dump there. It's no longer a recycling center site, even though it hasn't been working for a while. Then the my question then would be with regards to the Knysna Garden site, have we had any engagements or pursued or tried to acquire properties from state land, SANRAL, intergovernmental relations land for Knysna to move the garden site to for the Knysna site? And then on page 40, I note that it states the compactors that were purchased, but they are not operational yet. If we can please have an update on the compactors that were purchased, when they will both be operational. Also, with regards to the staffing issues on page 40, I take note of that. I have previously mentioned this, and I don't know if this conversation has happened or it has not happened, but CWP, there are participants who would be able to assist us as the general assistants or on the trucks. There are a few participants who are qualifying that are able to do that. So I would like to encourage that we have that working relationship with CWP, investigations of which of the participants would be able to assist us on the trucks as general assistants. That would solve all of our solutions, and it would create the employment and the skills development upgrading for the CWP participants too. And then on page 49, my last question is, I note the data. Can we maybe have clarity as to why there was no data recorded on the recycling for Massey, the contractor there? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Levy. And then.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've just got the issue of cleaning, just related to a major issue that they are aware about, and I thank Natalie for putting this as a priority, but just so that councillors are aware of it. As you know, we've got our largest informal settlement in Sedgefield is on the dune. And because we have challenges in terms of refuse collection, our refuse collection is fantastic for the people that live at the bottom section, but obviously on the top side, where it's very difficult to navigate through to the bottom, it becomes a challenge. And we can't give bins to residents. We can give bins to the other residents, that are closer to the road, and the guys are doing very well in terms of collecting with the trucks. The challenge that we have is the black bags, and I know that this has been happening for years already. Is that I'm not sure if it's a budget issue, but we're just not supplying enough black bags for the informal part of our informal settlements where people can't get bins. So I think that's something that we seriously have to look at. We've got an agreement, for example, with Asivikelani and so forth, maybe to use that organization or the team there, or to try and do a basic, just an assessment in terms of how many people are actually there and I'm not only talking, I'm referring to my ward, but I'm also referring to the rest of Niger, because I'm sure the other areas with informal settlements have similar issues. And to find out how many people are there exactly that need black bags, and then from there, budget accordingly, have enough black bags, and then obviously we'll have a distribution system. So that's one suggestion that I have, because I know we do get black bags, but sometimes we don't. It's a budget issue, or it's this, or it's that, and sometimes people sit for 2 months without black bags. And of course, some of the people, they can't afford to. I know we like to say, no, they must just go buy. Why can't they buy black bags? There are people that can go buy black bags, but there's other people that really can't buy black bags because unemployment is very high, especially in our town. So that's the issue. The one issue. The second issue is that in the illegal dumping strategy or plan, we have to have the dune as part of that, because there's a lot of illegal dumping happening on the dune. And also we've introduced last year already, but since Mr. Witboy had some challenges with his health, it stopped a bit for a couple of months, but now Natalie has reinstated it, that on a Wednesday, every Wednesday we have the dune cleaned. So I just want to reiterate, if that can be a stable thing going forward, that there can be no breaks in that, and that eventually coming up in the new budget, if they can look at seeing how we can capacitate a few more people, or warm bodies, casuals or so, that can actually look at cleaning the dune more regularly, because it's a vast area and they only cover a small portion. And it's amazed when you see three guys or four that can do so much work. But I mean, it's really too much to expect from them. So, Chair, that's just all I want to comment on that. If I can just get some comments from the director in terms of his views on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Senga. Then after that, we gave the official chance to answer. Councillor Aubrey.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Am I audible, Chair?
Yes, yes.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, no, I'm not going to be long, Chair. I think a number of my questions are covered by Councillor Levy. But number one, Chair, when we deal with the issue of our waste management, I want to check number one on this report, where are our areas captured in the report? Because I'm just trying to check it when it comes to Totsekam, Concordia, Holisasa, Damsabos, Nekis, are our northern areas captured in this particular report? I wanted to understand that first question, Chair. The second question, Chair, if we speak about this report. I'm hearing colleagues are really praising this particular report, but anyway, it's fine. The second thing, Chair, which I want to speak about, as I've said, colleagues have covered part of my question. Here we are talking about the issue of the issue of the staff or the staffing, that from what was reported now by the acting manager, that we're having a problem with the staff. A lot of people, are no longer there. We've got a very serious vacancy rate, So what I wanted to understand, Chair, because I strongly believe some of those vacancies are budgeted for, right? Are budgeted for, and being budgeted for, what is it that you are putting in place in terms of making sure that we've got people which are going to fill? Because now the report which you are getting is the report which we receive some other day. There's nothing new on this report. There's absolutely nothing new. It's a report which we've just received. It's a repetition of what was reported to us. Because what I'm expecting now, because the issue of the high rate, of vacancies, it was once, in your section 8, and we agreed that these vacancies must be filled in. Now, what I was expecting to receive today is to say that, while we are waiting to advertise, we have appointed so many casual staffing to deal with our issue, of the staffing. The third thing, Chair, which I want to speak about is the issue of the black bags. Check go to Ward 8. Our township is filthy, it's dirty, Chair. It's dirty, Chair, and I'm going to ask you tomorrow morning for a site visit. Last week I asked you, there's a street called Setlosa, and I'm not going to blame CWP. Those people that are doing their bit, they don't have plastic bags. Remember, part of the responsibility, of us as the municipality is to ensure that we are cleaning our areas as the municipality. CWP, they are doing their bit. If they are not being supplied with enough plastic bags, how do we expect them to perform that particular function? The last thing, Chair, which I want to speak about, again, we receive a report in terms of the contractors, which others are still, I assume, some of them are still in George, and some of them are still waiting for the licensing. Whose responsibility, of making sure that, these vehicles are licensed, disc have been paid, and so on and so forth. Akiri, are we not having any official responsible for that? Because I know some time ago, we were told that we've got a fleet manager which must also take care of the fleet of the municipality. Then if we are having a challenge in relation to that, because all these things, Jefferson, are hampering on the service delivery. If vehicles are not roadworthy, they cannot drive. So refuse cannot be collected. And we are going to call shame the director, and I must thank Tony for always being there, whether it's after hours or early in the morning. When you need him, he's always going to be there. And thank you very much, Director Community Service. Keep it up. The last thing, Chair, which I want to speak about, I'm sure maybe the director can ask me, can assist.
When are you landing?
Yeah, I'm landing now. When are we going to resolve the position of the manager? Wait. Or how far is that particular protest? Of us having a manager, because now, I will also not be fair to let out somebody which is acting, somebody which is assisting us. When is that particular issue going to be resolved in terms of having a fully fledged, a department? So I think let me pause there. Let me pause there, and I'm sure the colleagues have covered me as I've indicated, Chair.
Okay, so you land there. You landed there.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Komelano, then we give it to you.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, good morning. Chair, I'm worried, man. 100 pages, gonna take us the whole day. I'm very worried. Chair, I think the time management is much more important, and your members must attend it. You must stop your members sitting on the TV. They are undermining you, Chair. Your members must come sit next to you. You can see that when we starting, the house was full. Now the house is starting to be empty. People are not serious about this. So you must look on that one, Chair. My question, Chair, will be very short. I'm not going to land far, land here. Chair, if I can go through this report, is 8 trucks that are operating, compactor truck, 8 that are operating. But if you have 8 trucks that are operating, Chair, why we still have trucks that are operating after hours and the weekends, but you have 8 trucks that are working every day? Let's leave these 2 days, 3 days, we got an issue with Mosil Bay, let's leave to the, but why we still have a truck that are operating after hours and the weekends, but you got 8 trucks? And secondly, why truck on the 6th of February was going to Georgia, but until today is not yet back? Is a truck for roadworthy and licensing. Why take forever? Not be done. Might happen the reason of still using people after hours might happen is a vacancy rate, maybe is too high. So all those maybe 4 truck doesn't have a driver or doesn't have driver's assistance. If those portions are funded, what the director plan you have? Because in this department, I can be assure you, Petros, since Director Johnny came in, the department is stable. Although it's got a high vacancy rate in terms of the managers, but the team is working with him, is doing a good job. They are trying almost best to stabilize the situation. So my question is there, Petros, I don't have a lot of questions to ask, because how can we minimize the overtime and we minimize the struggle working over the weekends to make sure that our area been covered in time? Because some couple of weeks where I am a councillor, I need to call, they refuse to be collected, but you got a tracker that is on the ground. If it's a vacancy rate, where is EPWP? Where is director that don't look another option because you got a vacancy rate, the manager protection service, the manager waste, those are vacancies. In other vacancies in terms of the general workers, what are you doing about it to make sure that what you're doing is sustained? Because the work you're doing, this director is infrastructure, you find him on other department, you find him is municipal manager, you find him there and there. Might happen you find tomorrow is wearing a uniform on the street, is a law enforcement. So they must make sure that at least, thank you.
Thank you. Can you answer then? Can you answer first, because there are a lot of questions. Then after that, Councillor Low. Answer, please.
Good morning, everyone. Let me start with Councillor Cleon. Councillor Cleon, with the open spaces and the recyclable wheelie bins, there was an internal issue with the staff that is in Sedgefield. I've sorted that out yesterday. I had a meeting with him. So I've requested him and myself to do a site visit. And then by, I'm not here next week, but by the first week of March, we will then run out with the recyclable wheelie bins, and then also the recyclable wheelie bins at the halls, at all your halls. Then, okay, the garden site is done. The recycling center, I'm also waiting on the property section that falls under corporate, because there was a lease. I've spoken to Renwell about that. He have given me feedback to say that the person that have leased that building has not, can I say, moved in. So he is in process of making contact with the leaser or leasee to find out if he's still willing to lease or is he still want to lease that building. So I'm awaiting on property section to give me feedback on that. I think, Director, you will speak on the garden site and the state land for the disposal of garden site. Then the 2 compactors, like I said, it currently doesn't have bin lifters, so we are waiting on the service provider, because we went out on an RFQ and the RFQ have closed last week Friday. I'm waiting on the fleet manager to come back to me on which service provider they have chosen or who has won the bid for the implementing or the getting the bin lifters on those 2 wheelie bins. Compactors. In terms of staffing issues, CWP, I think our director will also speak on that. And then no data for Masatendani for the recycling contractor. We have issued them with a letter, and they came back to say that the data, they've sent the data, but it couldn't go through the email. I don't know if there was network issue to Ramona, but that data will be within the next Section 80, because we received that data as well. I must also let you know that I've received a letter from that recyclable company to say that they want to cancel their contract for the recycling tender. I am in talks with our supply chain to figure out what we can do, because remember, there's another recycling company on that tender, so we need to go back to that recycling company to talk and negotiate either to stay on the current pricing and or then negotiate a new price, but supply chain would guide me on that issue. On the Councillor Lavelle, on the black bags issue, just want to go into, on the black bag issue, we have done a survey where we identify that for the dunes and the dunes people, we would need 5,500 black bags per month, and that linked to 200 bags per box. And if you go on to a 6 months period, that is 165 boxes for the 6 months, and if it goes to 12 months, that is 336 boxes for the 12 month. If you go to finance, for the 6 months, we will budget only for the Sedgefield Dune people 33,000 rand per for the 6 months, and if you go for the 12 months as a whole for an annum, that is about 67,200. And if you convert it to a round figure, it's about 70,000 for buying the bags of and giving them for 5,500 bags per month for the members of the public on the dunes. So we're also looking at that currently. This year budget for black bags was only about 300,000. Okay, so that is fine. I think our director will speak on the cleaning of the dunes and the staff. Must I speak about it? Okay, so currently our own staff is cleaning on the dunes. We only have 5 guys on the dune. They do clean Wednesday, but we don't have a big impact because our staff is only 5. And if they don't or can't clean on the Wednesday, they will go on to the Saturday for the cleanup. Then I will speak then to our director about including more, but we will see if budget allows us. Staffing issue, Councillor Chengwa. As I said that we have engaged with HR regarding staffing issues in terms of, especially with the drivers as well, there is a memo because most of those drivers, which is our drivers and it's internally, we requested them either to be placed or promoted within that and then look at, because it's our people we are looking at. So a memo is going around. We're waiting from HR to provide us feedback and guidance on that. The black bags issue as well, as you all know, we've only budgeted this year for 300,000 rand for black bags. We must also take note, if you have a wheelie bin, whether you are informal or formal, you don't get a black bag. We're only looking at people that doesn't have wheelie bins. Residential areas, yes, we do one, like I said, it's a bit with the illegal dumping and the cleanup, it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. Of course, us as a waste department do a once a week collection in that area, hence we actually should not be doing cleanups campaign because we do a weekly cleanup within all our areas 1 day per week. But we will also look at that. The compactors with the licensing issue and all of that and the repairs, it goes through our fleet manager. So we normally book in our compactors or the hook lift through the workshop, and then they will let us know it's either the guys at the workshop can repair or replace, or it must go to George Shortnerson. Most of our trucks can't not be repaired or replaced at the workshop, so it goes through to George, and then it takes about, I don't know, minimum a week for repairs. Councillor Kumawani, regarding the trucks, that report is the report for 2nd of February. What I can say, you will also see there's 3 trucks that is in Sedgefield. So currently it's 5 trucks that we have in Knysna. Currently, you will see, I just want to go, sorry. Senegal. Okay, so there is, let me just go to, because we received a new 41457 is currently in George, 22385 is currently in George, 44154 is currently in George, 72250 is at the depot, is waiting on parts. The 69904 is currently in George, 30994 is currently in George. The ones that's in operation in Knysna is 71376, 6995, 69905, 22069, and 41457. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 trucks in Knysna that is currently in operation.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Just to add regarding the Knysna Green Landfill, I think what is important for councillors to understand that we will have to go out on a call for proposal for a new green landfill in the Knysna area, rather than just identifying land. We don't have land, so the normal process is via then for the call for proposal for the private sector or public sector to indicate that they do have this land available for the green landfill. But I think what is important also to understand is when we move with the project at Windheuvel, this material can also assist with the waste to energy project that is a fuel that we will use that as fuel, the chip material. So we are also focusing on that as the institution, because we need to close down the green landfill as it is now, because it has reached its useful life, and we need to close that. On the issue of vacancies, Chair, we had a meeting last week with HR and the department, where we requested them that all funded vacancies must be advertised by the end of this month. So that's an instruction given to corporate services and the HR department that we must advertise all vacancies by end of February. What was indicated is that it seems that we are being bogged down with cumbersome processes within HR, filling of nonsensical forms that is linked to the policy of this council. And I think we need to look at our policy, how do we review the policy, and also how we engage the AG on those nonsensical forms that we must complete after council have approved the comprehensive budget on vacancies, so that we can reduce the administrative red tape on filling vacancies within the institution. I think we need to look at that very critically. How do we reduce then the time spent on filling unnecessary forms to get a vacancy filled? So we need to look at the whole policy in this regard. Around the CWP chairperson, we've engaged with Pumla last year already regarding cleanups. We've set aside funding, but as we all know, there isn't funds available, as we've discussed it in the war room, or additional funds to look at it. We did have some few rands and cents over November, December on savings, but there isn't a budget that we can utilize on CWP. The utilization of CWP on our vehicles, totally not allowed due to the issue of occupational health and safety issues. We'll have to provide then insurance for them, because remember, they are appointed for a certain function within the public sector, not to service on vehicles. So their employment is on community-based projects. So we can utilize them on community-based projects, or be it now the EWP or the CWP. So we need to look at our own staffing. And as Netlis indicated, there is a memo that went to the regarding the filling of vacancies, additional vacancies that we would like to create now with the vehicles that we've purchased, so that we can fulfill our mandate as community services on the primary function of waste management. So on the filling of the vacancies, it's for the managers, as well as drivers, as well as then for normal laborers within the whole Community Services Directorate. So we're busy with the micro-organizational structure that we must submit by end of February to the acting MM and then for submission to council based on the council resolution taken in December on the macro structure, etc. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Councillor Lowe, you are the last on this item, then we move.
Chairperson, my name will be very sweet. I hear that Natalie said that we have only, in George, it's only a week, then these trucks are back. It's not true. It's not true. Because last time Benny's truck was in George for 6 months. You know, all of us know Benny. He was walking here around in this town. This is the first time that I hear that when trucks go to George, take only a week to sort it out. It's not happening. Even when our fleet there, that fleet one is driving around with media, the one that's supposed to work with these trucks. So that is not true. We can't have 4 trucks that is operating here. It can never be correct. In a place like Knysna. It can never be correct. We can never have, in that department, our trucks are not roadworthy and we have struggled to a license. They are dealing with it. They must sort it out. And I say to you here, with all respect, that is operational. This thing of operational managers are sitting here in dark corners here somewhere. It's not helping us. It's 2 things. Or you are there where the work is happening, to see the guy, what they are doing, or you're sitting here in the dark corner, in the office. So mine is that if we are not going to change the way we are doing things, we are going to have problems. Secondly, we have appointed now an acting director corporate. So we don't want stories about vacancy positions. We don't want stories now. We have put our trust in appointing an acting director corporate. If we can't do the job, then he must tell us. Because previously we were struggling around vacant posts that was never filled by the previous one that was sitting here. Now we have appointed one to fast track these things. And secondly, it's a painful for me what I hear from the director now. They say the red tapes. Why did HR never inform us? Because you know why HR didn't inform us?
Thank you very much,
There's the Holy Ghost. I'm Jesus, I'm God, and I'm the Holy Spirit. Because I want to do everything in HR instead of delegate my work to other people that are there. This is the problem that we are facing. Mr. Douglas, Director, we can change that policy. We can do it now. It's not going to help us. The problem is that the Holy Ghost. That's our problem, the Holy Ghost. I'm God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
Thank you very much.
That is what is happening there.
Yeah.
So I hope the acting director is going to address that we can't have God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Chair, just from my side, we've given clear instructions in terms of timelines. So if that's not honored, then obviously we'll address that appropriately.
Okay, thank you very much. The recommendations is on page 50. Can we move with the recommendations?
Chairperson, with due respect, before the recommendation, I asked the question, where is our areas captured on the report? I did not receive that response. And I can't, Councillor Petros, I represent what I can never allow you to run with the meeting here without me understanding the people which I'm representing.
Councillor Tsango, can you go straight to what you are asking right now? Maybe you didn't get an answer. Just go straight to.
I mean, I'm saying I cannot receive in the report. Where are we captured? Where the northern areas is captured in the report?
It's fine.
And if
Can you not answer that so that we can move, please?
Councillor, this report is not per area, it's for the Greater Knysna.
Okay, thank you very
No,
much.
no. It's for the Greater Nyasa.
Yeah, it's for the entire NISNA. Thank you. Can we move with the recommendation?
We can move, Chairperson.
Sorry,
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Sorry, Chair. But that response is not fair to the questioner. That response is not fair. You can't tell her when mentions it. That is the word councillor is including the Greater Niger. When the Greater Niger is isolated as a portion of the Greater Niger. He talked about the Jews there in Sedgefield.
It's a ward.
It's a ward. Why is not talking about the Johnson Camp, he's not talking about Khaled, he's not talking about the Frentel? That is not fair, Chair. Must be give a proper response when you ask a question. That's a simple question, need the answer. If you don't have an answer now, I can look at the matter. Simple.
Director, can you just clarify?
Chairperson, I think moving forward, what we will do is to report per ward what's happening with waste management per ward. I think
Thank
that's
you.
the issue that Councillor Tsengwa and Councillor Kumulwana is referring to, because we've reported now based on Ward 1 and Ward 2, what's happening in those wards. I think we'll change how we report. Councillors, Chairperson, we're just having a meeting at 12 o'clock with Province and National regarding the whole issue of waste. So I would like us perhaps just to recuse myself and Natalie for 12 o'clock. Because it's a very important meeting that we must attend.
I will come to move
Chairperson?
forward, guys, if both of you going.
Chairperson?
Councillor?
Chair, we cannot continue with this meeting if the director and Natalie are not there. Understand that we do need to excuse them because it is an important meeting. Through you, can the director possibly give us an indication of how long their meeting will be so that we can then convene when their meeting is done, is my suggestion, please.
That meeting, I believe that meeting will be a very long meeting because they are dealing with critical issues. You bring people here with long swords here for this railway and they talk about the waste and so on. So I think they can also deal with it. But my question to Mr. Director, when are we going to deal with the story of the waste to energy? Council have took a resolution here.
Chairperson, we're busy with that process. We had a meeting with DBSA, who wants to fund that whole process. So it's about 2 weeks back that we had that meeting with all the relevant stakeholders. We're just waiting for some information once again from Renwell around the properties, because DBSA wants to see the title deeds for the whole area at Vantierville, so that we can move on. So we're busy with that process, Councillor.
It seems to me now all directors are going, and then can you just give us 2 minutes, then you come back? Can you just give us 2 minutes, then you come back then?
Can we?
Because if we are carry on like this, we are going nowhere, guys.
Chairperson, okay, can I just explain? Can the committee, listen, can the committee quickly discuss, and then we're going to come back within 2 minutes' time, whether we're going to postpone the rest of the items on the agenda, maybe till tomorrow morning, or we will decide when we will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. held a special caucus, and then we agreed that we are going to postpone this meeting for tomorrow for those items which we didn't, for at 2 o'clock tomorrow, then we can. So what other meeting? No, it doesn't matter, as long as the directors are not a part of that meeting. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.